Welcome to another episode of Grit inside Manhattan Beach Studios. I'm Victoria Dennis alongside Meg Burdorf. Joining us is founder of SoCal Beach Foundation, an amazing nonprofit, David Brandin. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, thank you for having me on today. I'm really excited about this.
You guys are at the helm of beach volleyball infrastructure in Hermosa Beach. You're a nonprofit, and there's a lot going on. You have fundraisers, you have tournaments, and you're really trying to turn around the beach volleyball courts in Hermosa.
Yeah, and we're really excited to be part of Hermosa and just improving on all the infrastructure. And, the nonprofit really focuses on a lot of different things, but when it really comes down to it, it's just the community coming together to improve the community. We all play there so often, and we just want to see small improvements here and there. And it's so grateful to see that the community comes together for events and puts on a show, and at the end of the day, just for the benefit of the community.
Yeah. What are three things right now that you're really looking forward to in 2025?
In 2025, three things I'd say I'm really looking forward to are, well, I guess we have three events coming up straight into it. Our three events this year, there's one in 2 weeks, March 29th. It's a Superhero Force tournament. Then we have May 4th is a Star Wars theme. And then sometime in September, we have another tournament, and it's our bigger pro tournament for the year. And those three events kind of is all of our fundraising for all of the things we want to do throughout the year.
How do you continue to secure funding and run all of these events as a nonprofit?
So the funding comes directly from each tournament, and from each tournament, we invest a little bit of the profits into two different areas. One is the outreach program, and the other is the infrastructure side of Southern California, if you will. Our emphasis right now is in Hermosa Beach, but we plan to expand to other areas. Just right now, since I lived in Hermosa Beach, it was kind of our focus. And I was able to have those connections to talk to the city to work on certain things. As we branch out to other areas, we do plan to work on those cities. On the other side is the outreach part of our nonprofit, and I don't know if you want to dive too deep into that yet, but the outreach side of it is we want to promote beach volleyball as a whole. And as a young athlete, I never got the chance to really play as much as I wanted to, and there's a couple factors in there, but point being, I just want to make it available to individuals in certain areas.
And Hermosa Beach community is awesome, and it's a great place to start and to launch activity. But you also have a wonderful community of volunteers as part of the foundation. Talk to us a little bit how that happens and has grown over the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. So originally it started with me and my sister, Kelsey Brandin, who we started these events, and then we turned it into a nonprofit, and from there we kind of just got a lot for just the two of us to handle. So as you can imagine, we reached out to the community and asked for help, and it was an overwhelming amount of people that just wanted to help, and we're like, this is what it's about, you know?
This is great.
And so we have roughly 30 to 35 people that are now engaged in the nonprofit side of it. So we have different, chats, if you will, and different subcommittees, and there's 7 to be exact, and they each focus on a certain aspect of the nonprofit. And this is the first year that we're doing that because we reached out last year. So as far as this year is concerned, everyone's kind of like doing their own project and their own for the nonprofit, and we're really excited to see how that turns out.
Now, you walk down the Strand in Hermosa Beach, and every street has volleyball courts, and there's always somebody playing on every single court, especially on a Saturday or Sunday. SoCal Beach Foundation, talk about infrastructure and trying to improve the sliders.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hermosa Beach, it's been there for a while, so there's a lot of political stuff that kind of go in the background of each volleyball court. So we like to focus on just talking to the community and what they want for each court, and that's kind of how it originally started with the sliders.
What are sliders for
So,
those
yes.
that don't know?
They're burgers, right?
Yeah. They're
Yes.
not burgers.
Now I'm actually hungry.
So the sliders are metal attachments to the poles that allow the net to go up and down, which makes it really easy as a player when you have to wake up at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. and go out there and play. It's cold and you have to adjust that net because it's the wrong height. No one truly enjoys that. So we provide sliders that go up and down on the pole, and it raises and lowers the net, and there's a little pin that you can pull out and adjust the net, put it in, and you're good to go. So it takes maybe 30 seconds.
They're amazing.
Thank you.
I've been a beneficiary of one, and it is fantastic to have.
So it really just helps adjust the net and get the games going, especially in the morning. I know myself, I have probably done thousands of different ties for the nets to figure out how to get the net the men's height. And so with the sliders, it's truly 30 seconds to adjust that height. So players that are kind of new to the sport, they don't have to spend that extra 10.
And you don't need equipment.
Exactly. You don't need equipment. It's easy to get to the court and just play volleyball. That's really what we want. We want to expand the sport. And sometimes that barrier to enter is hard for new players. And so when you come to the court, there's lines there now, all in Hermosa Beach. There's a net, which is another part that we worked on in the past. And there's sliders on most of the courts, not all yet. And so really it's just for the benefit of new players or existing players. Everyone kind of benefits. And net just goes up and down and makes it really easy.
And I think it also helps for the longevity of the net itself and the poles, because people aren't pulling at the rope, and rope snaps, especially in the salt air and the dust and wind, and you're in the environment. So I think the sliders also help with the longevity of the net and the poles that the city doesn't have to replace.
Yeah, absolutely. The equipment that we use is stainless steel. It's built for the beach now. We're trying to standardize each court, and each court has its own steward, so it makes it a little difficult in the process. But we do use material that's for the longevity of not going out there every 2 weeks and replacing the material, which we well know that there are some straps that only last 3 weeks. You have to go out there every so often to replace that. So it is for the longevity of the courts as well.
I want to know what courts are getting the sliders next.
Yes, so that's Shiv's job here in our committee, Shivarelli, Mike Shivarelli. He kind of chooses the courts right now. I was choosing the courts, not at random, just on a need be basis and kind of replacement of the poles. So complicated question, to be honest. But right now we're kind of focused on the newer poles that are getting replaced. So we have the city that we're replacing the poles now, and that's also a little gray area because we're trying to get the city to replace poles because we were doing it before, but to replace a pole in Hermosa Beach is 4 to 6 hours per pole. If it's dug in a little deeper, if it's only 4 feet in, it's only an hour to replace a pole. But point being is it's a lot of work. It's a lot of manual labor, and the city can do it with just their truck really fast. And so we're working with the city to try and get them to replace the poles, and that way when the poles go up, there's no equipment on the pole, so then we can put the sliders up. And it's a faster process. It doesn't require any stuff coming off the poles that are historically other individuals' property, if you will.
Yeah, cool.
Let's talk a little bit about that relationship with the city of Hermosa, because not many people know that LA County has their beaches and harbors, but Hermosa and Manhattan sit independent as cities. And it's been something that, in Hermosa Beach, it just maintained itself, and now we have identified court stewards. But what's that relationship like in changing the culture to benefit all of the courts outside the commercial zone in Hermosa Beach?
Good question. It's an interesting dynamic, very political, to be honest, in Hermosa Beach. You do have residents that have been there for quite a long time, and as you can imagine, they like where they play. They like their courts, and so our goal as a nonprofit is to standardize each and every court so that the barrier to enter at any court is very easy. You can just walk up to court and play. With that said, we're working with the city. We're not officially aligned with the city yet. Our plans are to be officially aligned with the city through the nonprofit, but we're not officially there yet. We're working towards it. And so our goal is to standardize each court. And how that kind of works is we work through the court steward of that individual court. We don't want anyone to feel like we're taking over. That's not the point of the nonprofit. The city has their select regulations for Hermosa Beach, if you will, and also the court steward. But our goal as a nonprofit is not to really touch the side of regulations. We're just providing the materials for the court to improve the court, so everyone's happy, and even the court steward. And so far, it's been really amazing progress. So much that like court stewards are coming to me now asking like, "Hey, can we get our sliders up?" And it's been a very fun process. So now I also get to know the court stewards that have lived there for 30 odd years, 40 odd years, and they're like, "Wow, that's a long time." So it's cool.
So how does that impact the youth side of the sports? Because living in the South Bay, especially Hermosa Beach, it seems like every little kid is on the sand with the volleyball before they can even walk. How do you see the sliders impacting the youth?
So some of our sliders actually drop all the way down to the ground, if you will, depending on how low you want it, and they're able to also play on those courts. I think that's where the question is directed at. And 14U uses a 17,
A little bit lower.
14, a lot lower court than girls beach volleyball, and so or adult beach volleyball, and so it does allow them to just kind of walk on the court and play there as well. Now, on the flip side, the outreach program is focused on reaching out to youths and bringing bringing the community together so that they can play in tournaments and so forth. And so we kind of give them discounted pricing and to grow the sport, to encourage them to play. You know, it's all for fun. It's all just to get out there and have a good beach volleyball day, and that's kind of what we're promoting.
What does the pricing look like, and is there different tiers?
There's certainly different tiers. So we have like the public pricing, if you will, which is $250 for the pro tournament, and then we have the AA, which is $160, and then we have the unrated, which is $160 as well, and then we have the youth, which is $100. We are trying to push for underprivileged communities that don't have the benefit to coming down to the beach as much. We're trying to give them a lot bigger discount so that they're able to just quantify, you know, taking an Uber or whatever they need to get to the beach, so that they're able to play in this tournament. And sometimes we'll give them just free entry altogether, just for the benefit of the sport, so that they're able to get down there and, you know, touch some volleyballs and have some fun out there.
And how are they able to reach out to you for the different tiers and for the youth and for specifically the underprivileged communities? What is the best route to reach out to SoCal Foundation?
Probably just our email, to be honest. SoCal Beach Foundation at gmail.com. I would say that's the easiest way to reach out to us. I've had many people just text me, and very good at responding. I almost respond within the day, and so I want people to reach out to me so I can help them in any way I can. And I think that the email is very beneficial because we have a little documentation versus a text message. But it's been quite an easy, simple process for people to just reach out and for me to open that dialogue and have a good conversation about what they kind of need and how to get there.
Love it.
Yeah.
How about working with sponsors and local partners? Like, what's that like for the foundation? I know you put on a lot of tournaments, so probably those connections spill over too.
Yeah, so sponsors are a little complicated in Hermosa Beach because we have an event fee that we have to pay for each sponsor. And it's hard to quantify an ROI for sponsors at the actual tournament. And I believe that fee is now $400. So we're working with the city to kind of figure out a middle ground for sponsors to get them out to tournaments, to promote their brand, as well as encourage the relationship with the community. And so it's currently an ongoing process, but we've had sponsors in the past willing to pay that fee and get out to the tournaments, and they've had nothing but amazing times, and they love it. But I, as an event producer, I kind of want there to be more of an ROI for each sponsor so that we have a recurring process. And it's difficult. You know, it's not easy reaching out or having them reach out to me and kind of telling me all the guidelines. And some people really enjoy it, and some people are like, well, that's very expensive, and the ROI isn't there. So I'm working towards building strong brands, working towards building a relationship that they can come to any tournament when they're available and just kind of promote their stuff without some hefty fee. And because I think it kind of destroys the sport a little bit when you don't have sponsors out there. We do offer a huge prize pool as well, and so having sponsors out there kind of help us promote the brand in its entirety.
What is it like getting city approval with the court stewardship?
So the court stewardship is just historically a process. Well, it's a new process, but the city does it through kind of their system, and then we, as our nonprofit, kind of have our own system, and we're trying to get aligned on the same system. But to apply to a court steward, to be quite frank, there's a lot of people that want to do it, so it is a hard process. But we're trying to get aligned in a way that I'm out there every day. I kind of know who plays on what court in the general area of south of here, Hermosa Beach. And so I have a different angle than the city has. The city kind of has their spreadsheet that's not public. And what our nonprofit is kind of focused on doing is publicizing the stewards for each court. So you can kind of, if you have an issue on a court, reach out to them, they can fix it. So it's kind of also a little gray area on that. I know there's a lot of gray area answers here, but we're working towards, one step at a time, just building a more standard list of court stewards. So if people are interested in applying, they can see kind of where they are on the list and what courts are available. I will say there are a lot of people right now that want to be court stewards, which is awesome. Having people out there that want to better the community, it's awesome to see. And you don't have that in every community. And now Hermosa Beach has a lot of volleyball players. But it's really cool to see that people are willing to step up and take care of the courts. So that's kind of where the nonprofit kind of started. That's what I wanted to do, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges though from getting the city approval side?
For events or court stewards or
For both
here? So the
court steward and events.
So I'll talk about events a little bit more. So events you have to do a year in advance. We all have to attend a meeting. When I say all of us, there's all the events for the year, and so everyone that's applying for a permit has to attend this meeting. And there's roughly 15 events during prime season and 20-ish, I think. I actually don't know that number outside of prime season, so summer season. And so the process is applying a year and a half in advance to Hermosa Beach with their website, and then communicating dates. It's a very long process. So you have to communicate the dates with the city. Most of the dates you are requesting don't work because there's so many events. There's so many people that want to run events. It's you kind of get pushed out of summer because there's so many events. There's AVP, there's AAU, there's PVCA, et cetera, et cetera. I can go on forever.
Yeah, July is a no-go month.
Yes,
It's already booked.
And also, a lot of the kids are free during summer, and so July is peak season for that as well. So all the youth programs are focused on their tournaments there, which makes sense. So we've had tournaments definitely in July and June, but as the years go on, we are working with the city to get those dates back, but also being adjustable where we can host in different months and be okay. There's obviously weather and other things, but that's part two, dates. And then after you get all your dates finalized, you have to go through an approval process through the city council. And once they approve you, you're good to go. You have all your dates for the next year, and then you start the planning process for each event. For our nonprofit, each event is our fundraiser, so we put a lot of emphasis in each event. And they're fun.
I was gonna ask you that. Are your events covered by sponsorships, or is it?
Our events are all covered by entry fee, and then entry fee to prize pool. After the prize pool, it goes to the nonprofit, and then that nonprofit gets all that money gets split in half for the outreach, and then 50% for community or not community infrastructure and stuff.
On splitting that into outreach, what are some things that you're looking to do inside of SoCal Beach Foundation for outreach in the 2025 year?
Great question. So in the 2025 year, we want to have free coaching programs available. Um, it's something we're currently working on, just reaching out to individuals that do coach so that we can kind of get the word out that we're looking for coaches. The nonprofit will pay for coaches, but we also have to have the clientele for that, if that makes sense. So we're also reaching out to the school districts who have kids that are interested in free coaching. And to be quite honest, that has been very difficult. Just getting kids engaged in a different sport is it's hard. It's very difficult. So kind of backstepping, once I realized that it was that difficult, we want to just provide volleyballs for a lot of communities because they don't have volleyballs to even play with. So over the last year and a half, I was kind of backtracking here. I was just donating volleyballs to communities so that they can just touch a volleyball, and figure out like, what do I do with this? And so that was kind of step one. Now we're going into step two, where we're pushing more of an agenda of free coaching for communities in need. And so we're working with the community that we have and just providing that as a solution.
And is the access to free coaching for youth specifically?
Yes, for you specifically.
And they can find that through your website?
Yeah.
Great.
Or just reach out to me via email.
Great.
Yeah.
What is the
Taking
email?
all the emails.
SoCalBeachFoundation@gmail.com.
One more time.
SoCalBeachFoundation@gmail.com.
There we go.
Yeah.
I needed the cut for post-production people, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's so exciting. So coming into the summer, what can we really expect to see from SoCal Beach Foundation? And your nonprofit tournaments have really been growing.
Yeah. Really, this year, we're putting up actually a lot of sliders in the next 3 to 4 months. We're putting up 10 sliders. We're branching out to different cities as well that people have asked us individually. Like, so Santa Monica is an example of that. And that's one thing we're really excited about, just putting up more sliders for the community. And we do also put up nets and lines, etc. And so that's one big avenue that we're really excited about. We have a whole community working towards that as well. And honestly, the 3 events that we have, this last event is a pro event that we're really focused on having 16 teams for women's fours and then 16 teams for men's fours. And they're just going to battle it out for $5,000. And we're kind of excited about that.
And you said it's in September, right?
It's in September, yes.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
saving the date. I want to know, in terms of being a promoter for beach volleyball, obviously you've been doing this for a number of years. Some of your lessons learned or advice you'd share for other people thinking about hosting a beach volleyball event?
Yeah, it's rewarding, it's a long process, I think. And I do my nonprofit for $0. It's all for the community. And when I look at it from an angle of the future, it's like, oh, another one, here we go. But once the tournament is passed and you look at like, wow, I accomplished that, I did that, it's a feeling like no other. You're like, that was so cool, I want to do another. And so I think for those individuals that really want to push forward and have their own tournaments, to really just start applying for dates and figure out what works, get in line with the city.
'Cause that process takes about a year, year
Takes
and
a
a
year,
half.
year and a half.
Yeah.
And
In
it's a
Hermosa,
very
at least.
expensive process as well. So I would say have your cause and go to the city and just say like, hey, I want to host a beach volleyball tournament. How do I do it? They're more than welcome to come to me as well, and I can give them pointers. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of people do want to host volleyball tournaments, but they don't kind of know the steps towards it. And I'm more than willing to help them get there, I guess.
What is yours and your team's at SoCal Beach Foundation long-term goals for the next 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years, it kind of changes every 2 years. When I created the nonprofit, I'll say my original goal was actually to build a beach volleyball court more inland, so that individuals that don't have beach access were able to access a beach volleyball court. I realized that is really difficult. You have to go through the permit process. Not only the money is roughly $30,000 to $40,000 or whatever it costs, The permit process and the red tape was just very difficult to get past. So that was my original goal 2 years ago, and I've kind of done away with that goal and to more of a different approach, if you will. And so my 3 to 5 year goal would be for bringing bringing youth to the beach volleyball community and allowing them to play in an environment that's completely free. It's not necessarily super competitive, but a fun environment where they can enjoy the sport, which is kind of why our avenue is fours beach volleyball versus twos. I know we haven't touched on that yet, but our avenue is more fours beach volleyball instead of twos, and so it's a lot more I wouldn't say lackadaisical, but like easy on just the environment versus the high stress environment. And so they just get out there and have fun and enjoy it and have a good beach volleyball day.
Do you see expanding into the Inland Empire, San Bernardino area, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I think nothing's, I mean, the sky's the limit really when we talk about the nonprofit, and um, I would love to if the opportunity presents itself. That'd be amazing. Bringing any individual to the beach, it's kind of our goal. So if anyone's in the Inland Empire and wants to reach out, I'd be happy to open a conversation.
Love it. Biggest misconception about running a nonprofit?
um, Biggest misconception. Good question. I guess I would go with the angle that there's a lot of like money in the nonprofit. Our tournaments, we do charge a kind of a hefty fee. It's 160, 250 for the pro, and um, at the end of the day, a lot of money goes towards running the tournament, paying for the permit, and paying for amplified sound, et cetera, et cetera. The list kind of goes on. So I think the biggest misconception, sorry, is that there's um, not that much money in each event that we host. We host an event of 200, 300 people, and we only really make like $2,000 to $5,000 for each event. And for the amount of work that I put into it, it's like,
And you're not getting paid.
yeah, and I'm not getting paid, and it's the amount I work probably more than my actual job, and I have a 40-hour work week job, and so like I think the biggest misconception is that there's a lot of money floating around in it, and there truly isn't, and I'm not getting paid, and so when you look at it at an angle that's um, an angle that you want to make a beach volleyball tournament like just insanely, you want to do it for money reasons, I think that's the biggest misconception, is it's not really there. Now if you're doing it for because it's fun and you wanting community engagement, I think those are the right reasons, and I think that is often confused.
What are some of the best ways that the community, whether they're in beach volleyball or they want to get into beach volleyball, what's the best way for them to contribute to the foundation? Through volunteering, donations?
Honestly, just playing. I want to see people out there just having a good time, and I actually get asked that question a lot. And I think just grabbing a team, playing in the tournament, having a good day, and having good vibes. You are, of course, able to volunteer multiple different avenues. We have a lot of committees and a lot of different angles. But I think at the end of the day, I just want to see people out there having a great volleyball day, and that's it.
And the four-man concept actually is becoming very interesting across the world.
It is.
Let's talk about how you're going to apply that this September.
Yeah, so all of our tournaments right now are men's fours, women's fours, and we divide that up through just open, double A, and unrated right now until we could branch out a little farther. But the pros tournament at the end of the year is for $5,000. There's 16 teams, men's fours, women's fours, and we've hosted it twice. We call it the SoCal Cup. We'll let you do your
We'll
research
Google
and
it.
go back, mainly because I can't remember. Oh, I remember
I
some
thought you were going
people,
to say
but,
yourself.
no, I've yet to win my own tournament. Kind of sad. I always feel like I have such a stacked team, but then other people have so many pros that play in it. It's side out scoring. It's old school format, and so big court, and it's really anyone's game, which really makes it exciting. And so Every year I get a really fun team, and I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna win my own tournament. Never happens. I've gotten second and third a few times, but one year I hope it happens. But point being, end of the year, 16 team pro teams, men's and women's, and they just battle it out. And truly, it's you name it, they've probably played in the tournament, and it's such a fun environment where I mean, these are pro players, but they're just such a relaxed environment, and they're just having fun.
It's a great spot of our sport, the accessibility, the outreach.
Yeah, um, and each individual that plays in it just says they just had a great day. I'm like, warms my heart. It's good to hear.
Anything else that you want to touch on before we wrap up here?
No, I mean, I just think that the no, I guess I think we covered it
You're like,
all.
we hit it all.
I think we covered all the
yeah.
avenues there.
Well,
It's-
anyone looking with engagement of school-age children.
yes, great question. Thank you.
Please reach out.
yeah,
because
please reach
you're ready
out.
to help. We need the connection.
Yeah, if you want to start, like a beach program at your school and you don't know how, I'd love to help any angle I can. I'd love to provide coaching, etc. And so do reach out at SoCal Beach Foundation at gmail.com, and we can open up a conversation and get that going. And yeah,
Awesome. Thank you.
of course.
Appreciate
Thank you guys
it,
for having me
David.
on. Of course.
Yeah, I'm very excited for all the tournaments coming up.
Yeah. me
I'll
too.
text you about
Sliders.
playing in them.
Cool.
And the sliders.
Yeah.
Game changer. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you.
Of course.
For everyone tuning in, please like and subscribe to Grit Beach Volleyball. Keep it gritty out there.